Hi everyone, welcome to our new podcast series on Agile anti-patterns and AI. In this series, we are going to explore how different anti-patterns are practiced and how artificial intelligence can be used to detect them. AI can also recommend some solutions to overcome these anti-patterns. I am your host, Anshu Gupta, and with me is Vinod Krishnan. And today we kick off with some anti-patterns which are generally practiced by agile coaches. Welcome, Vinod, to the show.
Thank you, Anshu. Hello, all. So, when we think about the anti-pattern, it's actually role-based. What we have discussed, and we have found couple of role-based anti-pattern. First one I would like to start is about theoretical agile. So, if you want to talk about theoretical, it's a one thing that's when agile becomes a kind of buzzword and not a behavior. So the coach adopts the frameworks like Scrum, Safe, or Kanban, and throw in all kind of terminologies like Scrum boards, sprints, daily stand-ups, retrospectives, but never internalize the core values of Agile. So what happens? What gets lost? Main core values like customer collaboration, working software, adaptability, responding to change. So that means the soul of Agile itself is missing. So it becomes a kind of checkbox exercises, and rather than a kind of mindset or a way to deliver real business value. Now, we'll often see driven by the top-down mandates or kind of certification pressure. Teams can quote the Agile manifesto, but in practice they behave rigidly, avoid all kind of feedback loops, and fall back on over documentation instead of iterative delivery. This we have seen most commonly in large enterprises or regulatory industries where agile is imposed, not grown. So final result is like agile in name but waterfall in practice. Now, if you are in a kind of organization or if you are an agile coach or consultant, how do you spot this? So there are some symptoms. So one is like stand-ups. They are treated like a kind of state reports, not having collaborative conversations. We have retrospectives which are held, but no follow-up actions happen. Sometimes retrospectives even they are skipped. Teams become so obsessed with velocity but ignore all kind of customer outcomes. Product owners act more like project managers. And finally, there are no no system to collect feedback from the real end users. So there is a, for example, like a banking IT team rolled out Scrum because of an organizational mandate. They set up all Jira boards, ran sprint ceremonies religiously. Even went through agile training for all the members. But after 6 months, nothing changed. Delivery cadence stayed flat. Customer satisfaction dropped. Even developers felt disengaged from the team, from the project itself. So they were doing agile, but they were not being agile. So there was no inspect and adapt or no validated learning. So just rituals without results. Now, if you implement AI, like how can we use that? So we can use some kind of smart tools to detect like if there is any fake agility is there or any kind of behavioral pattern among the team members. Uh, for example, some tools we can use, they can scan the artifacts like dev artifacts like commits or ticket recycles for signals like for and we can observe kind of signals for repeated sprint backlogs, low pull requests, or kind of inactive code reviews. Then we have some meeting intelligence tools. They can analyze the stand-up transcripts and understand what kind of uh, talks or what kind of behavior during the stand-up meeting, what kind of talks they are having it. Is it a kind of just status heavy talks or a kind of low low like interactivity language which doesn't have any customer impact. And NLP classifiers can review retro notes or product goals to see whether the focus is on kind of real outcomes or just going through a process. So that's about theoretical agile. If you, Anshu, what about you? If you want to add something?
Yeah, Vinod. So these are some of the good points that you have highlighted on theoretical agile as such. Sometimes it becomes quite easy to identify it. If we simply observe that coaches are insisting on stricter framework rules and all the coaching advice is rooted in deep agile theory instead of how the teams are working upon, then we can say that the agile coaches are practicing this anti-pattern. For example, if you have a rigid and regulated environment where there's an extensive need of documentation, but the coaches insist on working code and ignores the need of documentation, we observe that a coach is emphasizing on agile principle of working code over documentation. So he is completely ignoring the nature of a project which requires extensive documentation, and is one more example of agile coach practicing theoretical agile. In practice, we need to tailor our approach according to the organization needs. There is also one common anti-pattern which we are observing nowadays is no coaching cadence. This is anti-pattern where the coach lacks a structured approach to engage with teams and individuals regularly. Coaches engage on an ad hoc basis or they engage in response to a problem being faced by the team. There is a very minimal to no coaching interventions, and instead of providing proactive guidance, coaches just become a firefighters who respond only to immediate crisis or in a response to a direct request coming from a team for an help. We observe in a team that the coaches are just joining the agile ceremonies and they are just listening. There are no inputs for improvement coming from them. All the sessions, coaching sessions are primarily reactive and happens only when a problem arises, or the coaches just simply do a surface level checking, like having a call with the scrum masters and checking that how it's going. If everything is going good, then there's no further communication or the engagement with scrum masters. Then it's a clear symptom that there's no coaching cadence being practiced within the team. We There are some more examples like agile coach occasionally interacting with the scrum masters for some simple questions like anything to be discussed or any issue they are facing. If not, then the meeting ends. Or the agile coaches occasionally engage with the team and steps in only when there's some major blockers, say stakeholder complaints or the failed sprint, or say there's a sprint spillover that has happened, but there are no regular one-on-ones within the team. And the coaching sessions are done only when there are the problems. Coach assumes that when required, the team will reach out to him by themselves. So, practicing a reactive mode. So, these are some of the common examples of this anti pattern. Now, with the coming of AI can not only detect this anti pattern but can also recommend you how you can overcome it. For example, AI, if integrated with your Google Calendars or Microsoft Outlook, can check the frequency of the coaching sessions that has been planned by the coaches with the team. And it can help you identify whether it's a systematic coaching activity that is happening within the team or the time is allocated only after some problem has occurred. AI can also be integrated with your project management tools like Jira or Azure DevOps that can help monitor your team performance metrics. For example, velocity or sprint success rate. Is it stagnant for a long period of time, or you see a continuous improvement from the past? AI can also be used to proactively book coaching sessions with the team based on the upcoming events. Now, uh, AI not with NLP can be used to detect certain uh, common statements when analyzing your transcripts from retros or from sprint planning or from DSUs. Like we haven't checked in for weeks or we haven't followed up. Some of these statements can be easily detected using NLP. So there are many more ways where AI can be used to detect and correct these anti-patterns. AI, when used, can help coaches to reduce their manual effort in booking coaching sessions or identifying the needs of coaching. AI can be a tool to enhance the productivity of agile coaches. So, Vinod, would you like to add anything?
Uh, yeah, actually, I want to add I want to add one more anti-pattern. Uh, so that's also role based and it's mostly because of the agile coaches. So it's called as a framework fixation. Uh, this one shows up when kind of agile coach and teams treat frameworks like say Scrum, Safe, or Kanban as sacred texts instead of flexible tools. So what happens is that the framework becomes the focus and not the outcomes it was meant to enable. Team's goal shifts from adaptability to compliance, and any deviation from the book, it feels like a threat. And this often comes from even from leadership or consultants who insist on textbook agile, even when that doesn't fit the business or team maturity or even the tech landscape what the team is using. So ironically, the more we try to follow the plan, the more we violate one of agile's most important values. It's called responding to change. So some of the signs you can see when the team is stuck in framework fixation is one is every team regardless of their functions or size runs the exact same ceremonies. So you're not allowed to adjust sprint lengths or roles or definition of done. And sometimes the local adaptations, say, for example, skipping retros for a DevOps team meeting. These are all discouraged or even punished. Teams, they start experiences like agile fatigue, and coaches become kind of enforcers rather than enablers. So one example is it's kind of like an a very large multinational uh, company, they rolled out SAFe for almost 300 plus teams. Even infrastructure and UX teams whose work didn't align with the Scrum cadence were forced into the PI planning, art and art sings everything. So what happened? The result is like the morale tanked. The ceremonies were happening, but true agility was not there. Now, in this case, if you use AI, how can we detect that? So you can use a kind of conversational AI or kind of transcription tools, just like we discussed before, to analyze all the meeting recordings and look for any kind of rigid language like, okay, no, we are not allowed to skip the retros, or safe says we must do this. This kind of stuff. And maybe you can use a kind of meeting efficiency tools like a rewatch or I think fireflies dot ai something is there. So it can identify ceremonial overload is happening. Maybe we can use tools like a linear or with pairing with the AI can spot when stories were like are being unnaturally split, or if there is any dependencies, look more like a waterfall and not an agile. So yeah, so these are the couple of points I want to share. Yeah. Anshu, anything you want to add?
Things will also sometimes coaches know that they are practicing no framework fixation, but are unable to overcome it because of operational pressures or some external pressures. So with this, we want to say that AI empowers agile coaches by not only detecting different coaching entry patterns, but also offering smart interventions, driving coaches' effectiveness and accelerating team maturity. And with this, we come to an end of this episode. In this episode, we covered few common anti-patterns, but there are several other anti-patterns too, which knowingly or unknowingly coaches practice. To name a few: over-facilitation, coaching without feedback loops, ignoring leadership, and transformation overload, etc. If this episode made you stop and think about how you or your team are working, then don't keep it with yourself, share it with others. If you have recognized few things that your team is doing, we would love to hear about it. So share your stories with us, and don't forget to hit and subscribe button. This is just a beginning, and we are uh, yet to cover a lot. In the next episode, we will be covering some anti patterns which are generally practiced by agile leaders. And thank you for watching this episode. Stay healthy, stay agile.
Thank you.
Thank you all.